back to the 42 Training Podcast. This is your host, Coach Ren, back with two guests today. I have Jen and Justine with me of Swole Sisters Worldwide, and it has taken me quite a few times to actually say that without getting my tongue tied. So, hey, third time's the charm on it, huh? So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things, in particular, though, intuitive eating, which you two have quite a bit of experience with. But first, before we get started with all that, please just give the audience a little bit of background on yourselves.
So my name's Jen Weiss. I'm a personal trainer. I've been doing this exactly 10 years this month.
Yeah.
And I've been working for myself for the past year, doing online stuff and a few select clients at my house in my basement gym, which I call the Lady Cave.
Nice. Very nice.
And Justine and I met working at a Snap Fitness, which is like a franchise gym, 24-hour gym.
Right.
And before the pandemic, was it 2019?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so the January of 2019, we decided to make this Facebook group called Swole Sisters Worldwide because we just saw all the stuff they put out on the internet and like crazy information, and we were like, we just want to provide, trustworthy information for women and give them a place to, go to find things out and ask questions and support each other. So we created the Swole Sisters Worldwide Facebook group, and we did lives and all kinds of stuff, and that's turned into a membership program with workouts and yoga and intuitive eating.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that is awesome. Congratulations, Jen. 10 years.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
This is, my name is Justine Zolotas, and I've been training now for about 6 years. And I'm also a yoga teacher. I got certified here in Burlington at Laughing River Yoga. Gosh, I think that was like 3 years now. Time flies. The pandemic makes time really weird.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
And Swole Sisters, just like I can talk about the name itself, because I think a lot of times people think, oh, Soul Sisters, and we're like, no, soul, like getting jacked, right?
Right.
And
it's funny, I never actually thought about the Soul Sisters thing.
Yeah,
but now I see the play on words. I like that.
And I also think men know what swole means, or at least like, gym dudes, so you probably haven't thought twice about it. It's a bro culture
term,
Totally.
for sure. And I think that what we wanted to do is kind of reclaim this idea that women don't need to be shrinking their bodies in order to pursue fitness and pursue wellness, because when we would talk about with female clients in particular, like, oh yeah, like let's get jacked, and they're like, oh, I don't want to get too big, and we'll go into this, and so we wanted to say, wait a minute, like it's okay, to build muscle and like have this, reclaim this idea of being swole and taking up space physically, socially, emotionally, and just really showing up as who we are as women in the fitness space and beyond. We created Swole Sisters. It's been quite an evolution. It started out, like Jen said, just as a Facebook group to get information to women that we felt was as true as we know it can be, right? Because fitness science, nutrition science is changing all the time.
And we're also willing to, I think after training for 10 years, like so much of what I believe has changed over those 10 years. So, being willing to accept when things change and when we change how we train.
Yeah, and normalizing the fact that we can, you can have an opinion on something and then new information arises. Oh my goodness, didn't know that, and now I'm changing my opinion, and willing to share that as a professional, I think is a really important, healthy thing for the field. We're excited about the membership, and that's something we'll talk more about at the end. We can get into the intuitive eating, which was a huge part of starting Swole Sisters in and of itself, and Jen and I starting on this alternative journey within the fitness industry.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I like the idea behind the Swole Sisters Worldwide, like behind the name, and not being afraid to take up space and like both physically but also maybe, I don't know, socially and whatnot, not being afraid to, I don't know, maybe stand out in some ways.
Absolutely.
Which, maybe some women have been, I guess, almost encouraged to do, like not take up space and whatnot, and just realizing, hey, it's okay. It's okay to say, hey, here I am. I had my first guest on just a few weeks ago, Miriam Lawrence, who as a middle-aged lady, started weightlifting kind of later, and it was kind of like the same things, like, oh, don't get too big and don't hurt yourself or whatever. But then finding out, hey, this was healthy, this healed her body, as well as maybe gave her an extra confidence boost. That she talked about how in her career it really helped as well. So that's a fantastic message, and I think the listeners will really appreciate that. So talking now, getting back to like the nutrition side of things, what issues do you both see in our society today? We've kind of touched on that a little bit, but what are some of maybe the other issues you see in our society with like health and nutrition? What are some of the biggest problems you see?
Go ahead, Jen. You want to start? There's so many. Let me gather my thoughts over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, dieting is just ruining everyone.
To put it bluntly, we're not pulling any punches on this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I think, a lot of times when people seek out personal trainers, they're doing it because they want to change the way their body looks. Mm-hmm. And I think this idea that you can't be happy or content or like worthy as a human being till you've reached some weight or some aesthetic, I think just the focus in general for women on how they look, I think that is a huge issue, and it's messing with our heads. Mm-hmm. And it's not even successflike people, diets don't work. Like the majority of them fail after 3 years. So it's not even
probably even less.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time, I'd love to see numbers on that. But yeah.
So for me, that would be something that I've noticed, and I know Justine's probably got a lot to say.
I'm gonna really try not to go on a rant.
Justine likes to be on the soapbox. It's her favorite place to be. We like that she's passionate.
Deep breath.
We
like that
passion
she's passionate.
Passion is good.
I'm gonna try to keep it together. Yeah, I mean, I think. I can say personally that I was coming from a place for a long time where I was personally really felt strongly that if I could just look a certain way, get to a certain weight, everything else in my life would fall together. And I felt very isolated in my struggle with this. And then I started personal training. And I'm like, oh, a lot of people are struggling with this. And then once I really started learning, like Jen mentioned, some of the research behind dieting, which is, I actually know the research, thank you, which really is for long term, right? 95% of diets fail long term, and long term is considered 3 to 5 years or more. So when we talk about when there's this promise of weight loss programs make this promise, they're talking about under a year. Like, you're going to lose this weight. And this many people, 70% of people are successful losing this weight. It's only 6 months, right? So I realized, gosh, women are in this cycle, this diet cycle, which we'll talk more about, where they are just going around and around dieting and then breaking the diet and then going back to eating and gaining the weight back. And even more harmful is the gaining back more weight every time they go through that cycle. So then there's even more shame built upon that, which Jen mentioned, the mental health side of things, which is feeling as though we as individuals are failures for not being able to comply or be able to get to the goal weight, when truly the diet is failing us. And this is a method and a modality that is completely debunked. It doesn't work, and yet we continue, not just in the fitness world, but health professionals as well. You're talking medical professionals are recommending that people just lose weight, just eat less. And we know that doesn't work. And I truly believe it is completely unethical to be prescribing weight loss or
imagine if you went to the doctor and they're like, here, take this pill. It has a 5% success rate. Like, would you pay for that?
Right.
I have a feeling there's not a market for that.
Yeah. So for us, intuitive eating didn't just come from, a personal space where we were just sick of dieting and we're like, what are we doing? Like, we're never getting to this goal weight. And then when we do, we feel like crap and it never lasts. And then having it backed up by, wait a minute, what's the science around this? Like, let's really look at the data around this. And then realizing, oh my God, we've been completely bamboozled by diet culture, AKA this value that we put into thinness and this way that our culture and society is obsessed with thinness and equates thinness with health, which is a whole nother issue.
Yeah, which we can talk about that.
Yeah.
We're saying intuitive eating, so we should probably define that.
Yeah.
There you go.
I went there.
You're a step ahead of me. So
Ren is trying to stay
I'm
organized.
trying to stay organized.
Welcome
here.
to hanging out with us, Tangent City.
All good. Hey,
He's gonna have all these cross-outs on his list, like way down and like lines and squiggles.
So I think we really covered already, like how you got into intuitive eating yourselves because you had seen, and experienced the issue of, I guess, yo-yo dieting, where your weight going up and down, and the diet only lasting so long and working for so long, and so that's really interesting. So looking at the long-term numbers, 3 to 5 or more years, not just 3 months or 6 months, which is probably more like what you would typically see a diet advertised at. Hey, lose this weight in 90 days or 30 days or whatever the case is. But if we really look at the long term and what that does, it really, they really, like I like how you said it, they fail us. And we look at things like The Biggest Loser, like pretty much everybody that's won or everybody that's participated has gained all the weight back, and probably
be illegal.
more. Probably more, yeah, because they're crash dieting and they're going into crazy caloric deficits that are just
over
not
exercising.
Realistically, exercising, and just it's not a sustainable lifestyle. It's for the drama, it's for the TV and the viewers, but it's not something that we can realistically maintain, or else something really, really bad is going to end up happening. So with that, let's just define what exactly is intuitive eating.
You want me to go then? So, intuitive eating, it's a book written by Evelyn Tribole and
Elise Resch.
And it's a framework, so we wouldn't call it a diet, but it's a framework with 10 principles, and it's based on self-care. Most diets are based on, like, do eat this, don't eat that, but this is, a framework based on taking care of yourself, learning to trust your own intuition, your own hunger and fullness cues, as well as your emotional needs, and using logic to develop a more natural way of eating that doesn't involve fighting what you want and eating how much you want.
Yeah, or arbitrary numbers, like 2,000 calories, right? Or 160
Well, it's women,
pounds.
so 1,200 calories.
Exactly. And I agree with everything Jen said. And one thing that I really enjoyed that made a lot of sense to me when I first got into it was Evelyn Tribole describes it as rediscovering intuitive eating, because the authors of the book believe, and I believe it to be true, that we all at one time intuitively ate. Like, if you have an infant, it's only going to have the bottle or breast for so long. It doesn't just eat until, they do sometimes eat until they kind of.
Well, there's I'm told there's a lot of spitting up.
There's a lot of spitting up, but they self-regulate based on their internal hunger and fullness cues. And we have those built into us, and through diet culture, we are taught to ignore or override those natural cues, and so we have a trouble hearing them. So part of intuitive eating is rediscovering this built-in system that we already have that does not operate in the face of scarcity, which is dieting. So as soon as we start to diet and restrict and take things away, our very finely tuned, very highly evolved brain just says, nope, now you're going to have cravings, you're going to have all these issues, you're going to start being preoccupied with food if you try to take it away from me, which is partially why diets do fail. So I love this idea of rediscovering what we already have, which is the ability to listen to what we need and to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, I feel like dieting is telling you don't know how to do this, you have to do it this way. So it's teaching you to not trust yourself. It's teaching you to fight what you want. Yeah. And I think that sets you up for more problems, especially look at low carb diets. So somebody that's never done a low carb diet, they may have